Not happy with the leadership and what has happened is Peter King. You've been listening to this, Congressman. Thank you very much. You've seen all the signals in this poll. It could not be clearer that the Republican Party strategy had, no strategy for getting out of this mess.
Yeah, well, Andrea, this was the strategy of Ted Cruz, and going back to mid-September, I said that Ted Cruz was a fraud, that there was a dead end to this policy, and that it made no sense to follow it. Now, John Boehner also told us in early September that it would be the wrong thing to do to shut down the government in an attempt to defund Obamacare. Unfortunately, we had 3 or 4 dozen Republicans in the House, who are Cruz Republicans, who basically threatened to bring the House down if John Boehner did not pursue this policy. John knew it was not going to work, but he felt he had no choice. I understand his position, but I'm really more concerned about why more Republicans around the country didn't join me in denouncing Ted Cruz. I mean, now we have people who are on the sidelines who are coming forward, but we have to take a stand here. We cannot allow our party to be taken over by the likes of Ted Cruz and Rand Paul. I mean, these are people are isolationists. I consider them rhinos because they don't represent traditional Republican principles. But Ted Cruz, what he did here was lead a party into a dead end with no strategy, somehow convincing a number of House Republicans that if we just sent this to the Senate, as far as defunding and as far as closing down the government, he would manage to get Harry Reid and President Obama to back down. He never had a plan. It was fraudulent from the start, and we have to cut this guy off now.
Let me play a little bit of what he had to say today about Obamacare.
Right.
None of us know what's going to happen on this Obamacare fight right now. In my view, the House of Representatives needs to keep doing what it's been doing, which is standing strong.
Congressman King, your reaction to that?
2 things. One, it reminds me of the guy in the schoolyard. He doesn't have the guts to fight himself. He holds the coats and tells other guys to carry out the fight. That's number 1. But number 2, no one has done more to strengthen Obamacare than Ted Cruz, because since he started this maniacal crusade of his, the fact is, over the last 10 days, support for Obamacare has gone up 7% in the country. Not because Obamacare is working, not because that it's played out well at all, but because he has given such a bad image to the anti-Obamacare forces. So President Obama and the supporters of Obamacare should thank Ted Cruz, because he is their biggest ally right now.
And as we can see in a downpour at the White House right now, this is a great weather up and down the coast.
Right.
You've got the Republicans going to see the president today. What should John Boehner do now? How do you get out of this situation?
Yeah, I have a great regard for John Boehner. I think this is the opportunity to go forward, to reopen the government, to raise the debt ceiling, because the Cruz Republicans right now, everyone realizes that this was a failed strategy. The best way to do it is to end it and go forward. And you mentioned people like Paul Ryan. We should be negotiating on the debt ceiling. We should be talking about those issues. We should raise it and take away any specter of the debt ceiling not being extended. But somehow, what we should have been doing 6 weeks ago, begin serious discussions and negotiations regarding the debt ceiling, as far as tax reform, as far as spending cuts, as far as entitlement reform. That can be done in the context where we don't have a gun to our head or the gun to the head of the financial markets in this country. I think right now we should reopen the government and go ahead, raise the debt ceiling, whatever a period of time can be worked out, and then have really serious talks start regarding traditional Republican values as far as the economy, as far as entitlements, as far as tax reform, and we can do it in an atmosphere where we don't have the Cruz people holding guns to heads.
And do you think you have enough members, like-minded members within the caucus, to persuade the Speaker to permit a vote on that kind of a clean CR plus debt ceiling increase?
Well, I want to be undercutting what John Boehner is trying to do now, but yes, there's no doubt there's more than enough people in the House right now who would vote for that. It would definitely pass. I have no doubt of that. And also, I can tell you there's any number of people who are publicly supporting the shutdown, who are coming to people like me and others and say we have to reopen the government. This is madness. When you look at the Senate and you see solid conservatives like Jeff Flake, for instance, saying that the government has to be reopened. I mean, sensible people realize this, and Cruz led us down a path. And again, I would just go back, Andrew, maybe when you have more national Republicans on the program, ask them when they're going to start denouncing Ted Cruz by name. We just can't say government doesn't work in Washington, Congress is dysfunctional. No, let's target those who are responsible. It's Ted Cruz.
Peter King, thank you very much. Tell me what you really think. Thanks for being here. And as the shutdown drags on,